add something, reintroduce something, I'm here for it.
Okay, I was waiting for Nessa to come on before we go on.
Okay.
But I don't know if she's coming. I wonder if with Zoom, hold on. I was going to say, I wonder if with Zoom, can somebody come on once we're live? Or if everybody has to be on to go live? Because normally everybody's on when I go live.
Okay. I've never used the live feature on Zoom, so.
Yeah, okay. So I think so here's Nitro. So I think with Facebook, once you do the live, it just goes straight live.
Okay.
So then I think everybody, like, just for housekeeping rules, like I feel like I'm at work. So you probably want to put it on mute because I think when people are speaking on Zoom, like, I don't know if everybody can be unmuted at one time. So when you're not the speaker, just mute yourself.
So right now I'm on Zoom in an interview with Kim Jones, and we're talking about healing.
All right. So we are about to go live.
And the live has been going on for a little while, but I didn't have a chance to go live, but I have a chance now. So here I am. Welcome, y'all. I can't see your comments, but I'll check them later. I'm just waiting for her to come back on and we'll get started.
This has been my title, sorry.
So I hope y'all stay put, get your tea, take notes. This is kind of the middle of the interview, but it's still going to be good info.
So we are now live again. So sorry about that, everyone. We had some technical difficulties, but I'm thankful that everybody was able to just jump back on. So I think we're going to mosey on back to Zoom because it is what is safe. All right, so let's see. Trying to make sure that I don't have my phone on. So I guess that we could go ahead and just pick back up where we left off.
Okay, so where we left off talking about the difference between coping and resolving a belief system, right? So coping is just trying to get over it, trying to distract yourself, trying to not worry about it. But remember, this is trying to change on the level of behavior. You're trying to change on the level of feelings. You're trying to change on the level of expectations. Just get over it. Just try to do this. Just try to do that. But remember, this is ineffective for the long run. It's all that you've known, so that's what you go to. But what we're trying to do is shift to the root, to the core of the thing, right? To demolish every stronghold when we talk about it in Christian terms, so that we can be no longer conformed to the ways of the world, which is the programming of the collective, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's where old things pass away. They don't just go dormant. We don't just forget about them, but all things become new. And it begins with this belief system renewal, because that's the root of every stronghold, right? And so what you do is when you form your belief systems, you form them as a child. Children are beautiful troubleshooters. They look around in their environment, they see what's wrong, they see what's right, and they start putting things together with a child mind, all right? With a child mind. And that child mind has not lived long enough to have any wisdom of life. They think they understand adult things. They think they understand what can make things better. I mean, if you have children, you know, they think they know everything, but they have to think they know everything, because if they don't think they know everything, the world becomes very unstable and unsafe, and mentally they cannot handle that. So the subconscious does a thing. It goes, okay, let me take this information for you. Let me categorize it. For example, men have short hair, women have long hair. That's what most young children think. And then they come in contact with a man who has long hair and they feel a little bit confused. Like, what's going on? Mommy, that's a lady or a man. And mommy has to shift their belief system. She goes, no, This man has long hair, is still a man. Hair does not determine gender, right? Or the child will see a woman with bald head or a bald fade. Mommy, is that a lady, miss, ma'am? They feel confused because their subconscious took the information from their environment, formed a categorization for them so that they can play, they can absorb life, right? Our subconscious is doing this across the board. So what happens is the subconscious is looking at your home environment and saying, this doesn't feel good to me. Things would be better if this was here. Dad is not here. I feel very unprotected. Somebody did something to me. Mom does something to me. Nobody protects me. If my dad was here, that wouldn't have happened. This person is mean to me, or I don't know what to do with this. If mom told me what to do, I would know. Things would be better if my family was in the same city so that XY children are doing this across the board, and it's from a child's mind. It becomes your belief systems. All right. And then you take your childhood belief systems, we call that premature cognitive commitments. Premature meaning before you have enough information, and a commitment, you commit to it as if it's true. You think it's true. Everything, every fiber in you believes it's true. That's why teenagers think they know everything, because they need to feel stable. They need it. So we shouldn't strip that from them. You know, you don't say, you think you know everything. You gently correct. I know you perceive that it goes A, B, and C, but let me add to this knowledge that you have. You see, we grew up resisting our parents. So our parents didn't know how to correct our behavior because they didn't understand all this stuff we're talking about. So they clashed with us. They didn't change our hearts. They didn't change our belief systems. They were trying to change behavior. And we're still trying to do that to this day. And it doesn't work, but it's a program. You go unconscious, the autopilot takes over, and this program goes, this is how I handle things. And you just keep repeating it over and over and over again. So you grow up with this child thought process inside your mind. And this is what I mean by resolving old programs. You come into adulthood with a child mindset, right? If my dad was here, all right? So what happens is we look outside at other people and we try to complete that picture because we think the thing that was missing was dad. The thing that was missing was mom. The thing that was missing is nurturing because we looked on TV, we read books, we looked at the children at school, we looked at movies and whatever else. And the movies show Black love looks like this. And it's not complete. We even have books telling single mothers that they can't effectively raise sons and children without a father. We tell African American families that a single parent household is not enough, and this is not true. But we got all this in our psyche. So we meet a person, and the person looks like they fit our requirements, right? They look good, they smell good, they act good. They're so much fun. They're so this, they're so that. Oh my God, we don't realize something. This is their persona. The persona is not the person. The persona is an expression of a character of the person, right? But you fall in love with this persona. You begin to create stories based upon the persona, right? And the content of the stories come from your childhood, the things that you felt were wrong. Right? So this person looks like they got a stable job. Good. Because where I grew up, my dad didn't have a stable job. My mama worked on her own. I don't want to live like that. So let me get somebody with a stable job. Looks like he has one. Okay, check. You see where I'm going with this? So the contents of the story we create with the persona comes from childhood, our childhood belief systems. We're grown women still applying those same premature cognitive commitments to our adult life. So here's what happens. You spend enough time with the person, you loving the persona, you're putting all these pictures together. Oh, I could see us doing this. I could see us doing that. I could see us strolling in the park on the summer breeze, like all of the stuff. And then you spend more time with them, and then you meet another part of the person. This also is not the whole person, but it's a big chunk of them, and it's the ego. And the ego is the stories they got, because they got some stories too. They're doing the same thing to you. There's the stories, the patterns, the belief systems, the worldviews, stuff we don't even know that happened, that we forgot about, things we didn't know happened, that we were present for. All of this stuff. The shadow is in the ego. All of the stuff that we are unaware of is in the ego. So you start spending some more time with this person and you start realizing, oh, they didn't used to be like that. They were like that. But you fell in love with the persona. You thought the persona was the person. And I can't say this enough, right? So you start trying to vouch for the persona and justify it and make the person match. Go back to what you used to do. You didn't used to do this in the beginning. You didn't used to talk like this. You didn't treat me like this. No, it was a persona. And it's not that they were putting on either most of the time. The persona is the way we interact with this outside world. When I put on my fitness gear and I put on my tennis shoes, you got a fitness persona. Does that mean I walk around working out all day? No, I mean, yeah, but no, at the same time, right? I might have a business suit on. Does that mean I walk around in a business suit all day? I'm talking to you like this. This is not the way I talk every day. People look at me on social media and they just like, oh my God, I would love to have a person like you. You're so intelligent and you're so this. And I say, no, you wouldn't. You wouldn't even know what to do. I'm telling you, I promise you. But you're looking at the persona and you think the persona is the person. And so you start trying to make them stay in the persona. Don't you be nothing else but what I like. Because I used to like this and that's all I want to see. The rest of that stuff you can change. I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to fast. I'm going to ask the Lord to change your heart. Right? But that was never the person in the beginning, right? But most people get to the persona, to the ego, and they have already fallen in love with the persona based upon their childhood stories, and now they don't know what to do. They can't back out because they're already too far in, right? And then you say, but this is a good person. Yeah, they got this stuff, but it's a good person. And it's hard to leave a good person. It's easier to leave a person who's just altogether cruel and brutal, but it's hard to leave a good person. But a good person is not necessarily the one assigned for your life path. We got to understand all of this when we're talking about whether we want to cope or resolve things, right? And so if you want to resolve things, because things have not turned out the way you wanted them to turn out, right? We have this perceived idea that we have failed in some kind of way. And we still got the child programs in there and we're trying to fix it by the child programs. If I could just do this, they'll come back. If I could just do that, if they would just do this, all they got to do is this. It's a shame because, and you fuss and you get depressed and you have anxiety and you're frustrated and you're powerless. Why? Because of these child programs that you're unaware of. I hope you see how coping doesn't work for long. I hope you see how just trying to change your behavior or their behavior doesn't change for long. I hope you see that changing your expectations will not work for long because you got these child programmings in there that is running your show. You are being a word processor, but you're trying to be Photoshop and you can't. So what we got to do is uninstall the word processor or install Photoshop, one of the two, but you ain't gonna get it doing the same thing you've been doing. And so when a relationship has failed, we think that it's the person that we want, but it was never the person that you wanted. You wanted their persona. And why you wanted their persona is because they fit your story and you want somebody to complete your story. I dare you not help me complete my story. It's not supposed to be like this. You wasn't supposed to act like this in my story. This is not how my story ends. Oh no, I'm going to go to the church and lay you on the altar. I'm going to give your name to the intercessory prayer team. Honey, I'm going to fast and pray. I'm going to put that oil on your side of the bed. I'm going to throw the holy water on you when you walking away. I'm going to do all of this stuff, but it's belief systems that causing all of this, and many marriages cannot work. They cannot be happy because of this, because sometimes that person that you're trying to create a lifetime story with was not the person that was supposed to be the one. But you latch on because you got this eternity in your heart, like your spirit lives in eternity and your body doesn't know what to do with it. So it tries to pull whatever based upon the programming. I help people in coaching to dissolve the programs so that we can all together renew the mind and come into a real new way of being where we do create our reality. What do I mean about reality? We create our experience when we have belief systems that are according to truth. And the last thing I'll say before I see if y'all have any questions is Les Brown. I was listening to Les Brown like last year sometime, and he said, somebody lied to us. Somebody lied to us and we have believed the lie that life was supposed to be easy. Like somebody said that and we've been fussing ever since. It's not supposed to be like that. It's not supposed to, oh Lord, why me? Oh, let me tell you why. Because we are part of an intelligent universe designed by God. And Jeremiah 1:5 says, before you were conceived in your mother's womb, before you took on before the sperm and egg met, before you even had a human consciousness, God was speaking into your higher self, your spirit, all the things you're going to need for this life path. All this stuff is in there, right? And before you were born, I set you apart, right? So then you took on a human existence, and now you have this task to become human, have this human suit and learn how to be it. And we don't know. You look at a newborn baby, the newborn baby, his hands start going in front of his face. He's like, whoa, I can control this. And then it starts grabbing. Oh, I could grab. Oh, I can do this. And then he starts laughing because he's like grabbing your skin. And you're like, oh my God, he's learning the world of cause and effect, which is this time-space reality. And we are doing that still to this day. And for some reason, we think that it should be a certain way, as if we designed this universe. It's like we become so wise within ourselves that we want to tell the intelligent universe that's designed by God how it's supposed to operate. It's supposed to be like this. They're supposed to say that. And all of these belief systems, I can't stand when people lie to me. I can't stomach a liar. Woo! We all be lying to ourselves, let me tell you. All right. And so all of these belief systems make you go against universal truth. And when you go against universal truth, you get suffering. You want peace? You got to realize all this stuff I'm telling you, and it's too much to take in one night. That's why I said coaching sessions. We go session by session, and I point out what your belief system is and the suffering and where it came from, and you decide what you want to do with it. Now, most people, they're so locked in. Y'all saw the movie The Matrix? So in the early part where Neo had already taken the pill, Morpheus takes him back into the simulation, and he says, pay attention. Because these are programs. It was people. These are not people. These are programs. And a lot of them are so invested and entangled in the program, they will fight you for the program. People will fight you for the program. You will fight me for the program. I'll be in coaching sessions like, listen, do you want to hear? Because if you want to keep this story, it's cool with me. I respect your path. But we hold on to the programs and it goes like this. But what are you saying? I shouldn't have expectations? No, you should have expectations, but we should do something different with them. What are you saying? I shouldn't feel? No, you should certainly feel. You need to feel. You can't afford not to feel, but you need to become a master of your emotions. Control them? No. Ignore them? No. Because some people say you can't live by your emotions. You can't trust your emotions. Oh, yes, you can. But you can't trust them to tell you what to do. You trust your emotions to show you what program is in there that is conflicting with truth. That's what the emotions tell you, right? But we don't know that. And nobody teaches us. We're learning how to be human, okay? And we don't just come knowing, especially when we didn't have parents that showed us. And so here we are. I'm 43, dealing with programs every day. As soon as I feel myself contract, I go, whoa, a program. What is that? And right away, it's at the point now where right away my soul will tell me and show me the memory exactly where it came from. And I can speak to myself because I know how to do it now. But it's taken over a decade. It's taken over a decade because I didn't have me saying this stuff. You're getting the years of personal experience, years of working with clients, years of observation, videos, books, application, trial and error in a compact way. It doesn't have to take that long, but you got to come ready to let go of the programs. You have to come in a surrender mode. Like, you know what? I've been around this block a time or two, been there, done that, I'm tired. What else is there for me? And that's the point where it all begins. Listen, everything is as it should be. Everything, right? There's some stuff I wouldn't have chosen for myself. There's some stuff I wouldn't have chosen for the people I love. I would never wrote a story like it, right? But for some reason, we are born into this intelligent universe, and we have a path, and we have things we have to learn and unlearn. And a lot of it is not even ours. A lot of those belief systems were implanted by caregivers. It's their belief systems, but you're holding on to it like it's yours. You're fighting for it. You will divorce for it. You will cut people off for it, for the program. Okay? And I'm not saying that people don't do wrong things. I'm not saying that people haven't hurt you. Yes, they have. I'm not trying to tell you you need to just accept what they've done and look over it. Nope. I'm telling you, get the accurate information from your soul so you can get into alignment with your higher self. Your higher self is your spirit. And these programs block you from flowing in your system of highest good, right? Your ego is a servant to your spirit. It's supposed to go like this. Your higher self has the information from God, spoken before the sperm and the egg came together. You were known by God, you were with God, you were in the mind of God, and you're still there, right? But the difference is you have a localized consciousness now. You have eyes, you can't see in the next room. You have skin, you can't walk through walls, right? So we need the information from our higher self because we don't even know what's about to happen 30 seconds from now. The Zoom might kick me off. I don't know what's going to happen. Right? But our higher self has the information for us. And the ego is supposed to take it and translate it into this time-space reality. For example, the higher self told me, go apply at a gym. Before I was fit, before I knew nothing about fitness, go apply at the gym. What are you talking about? For what? But my ego said, okay, what gym? All right? That's what the ego is supposed to do. But this is what your ego does when it has programming in there. The higher self says, go start that business. And your ego goes, you ain't never started a business before. And you had a business 3 years ago and you still have one that you don't work and it ain't working and people not going to believe you. And they're not going to even listen to what you're saying. And how dare you get in front of people when you still have this? And who are you to tell somebody this when you're still here? And this is your ego. Your ego is out of alignment. It's programmed to go against your higher self, which is your spirit. And you need it back in alignment. All right. Everything is as it should be to help you face that truth that you are out of alignment. The next logical question is, what do I need to do to get back in alignment? And that's what we work on in coaching. I'm going to park it right there because I could go on for hours about this.
Yeah. And so thank you so much, Sean, for that. And I was kind of like jumping in and out of the conversation because I can't get onto my cell phone. So I'm like, okay, with the message and the stuff the information that you're providing, I feel like, it's definitely important. And, I know as we mentioned earlier, like there's like, I know with some of the terms that you're using, like it may be stuff that people are like, okay, well, what is she talking about with this or that? But I think that you apply what works for you and your journey is, your journey and so forth. But I think that when you were talking about the, from what I was listening to just now, I was just thinking about how, just taking in all that you were saying, just like how your mind will tell you certain things. So that's what I kind of took from it. So like, the stories we tell ourselves are the stories we create in our minds. Because I know, I was talking to Letitia earlier and I had a whole story set up, like a beginning and the end. And it's like, I don't even know if this stuff is real, but it's real in my mind. So it's like, as you're saying, we create these, I guess it's not really a reality, but I guess it's our reality.
It's an illusion.
Yeah, an illusion. So I wanted to ask you too, Coach Veronica, just how would one know that? You probably answered it while I was gone because, I know that you gave a lot of information, but just how can one determine where they are in their healing journey? And like, is it typical to go back and forth, like between different stages, or how will you know where you are in your journey? Like, how can you measure where you are?
Yeah. So a lot of people try to measure it by how they feel. Oh, that happened and it didn't even bother me. But remember, the feelings are only a part of a whole dynamic process, right? So feeling good is not a measurement of how far you've come. But a measurement of how far you've come is how quickly you interrupt the programs. That's a measurement. Because you learn what the program is. We talk about that. We learn where it comes from. We dismantle it. We apply truth. You start practicing truth, right? And you practice it relentlessly. You set your face like flint and you run the race. And you can't for 1 second think that your story is real, because you got to keep reminding yourself, number one, that was a story I created, right? Santa Claus is not real. Even if you want Santa Claus to be real, it's not real, all right? And then as soon as that program jumps in, you feel the contraction. You feel it somewhere in your body, in your gut, your chest, your head, wherever you clench up. That's when you know you've hit a program. You feel some kind of suffering, frustration, resentment, aggravation, impatience, whatever the case is. That's when you know whatever is not the fruit of the Holy Spirit, you feel that. And that lets you know a program isn't attempting to activate, because you feel the contraction. But the answer is not in the contraction, it's in your expansion. And the expansion is in the truth. It's not just in the truth, but it's the truth that you know, Jesus said, that makes you free. And then you will know the truth. And the truth makes you free. It's not just the truth, it's the truth that you know. I'm talking about that you keep applying it over and over again. So you keep relentlessly applying these strategies, or the strategies we come up that are unique to you. And the shorter and shorter the time is between the situation and the activation lets you know where you really are. So if you still go straight into the program, just keep practicing. If you go back into the program sometimes, just keep practicing. The program, the old program must be dissolved. The way it gets dissolved in your brain, because it's a literal neural circuit in your brain. It's a literal groove, right? Thoughts are energy fields, and they carve grooves in the brain, all right? You have actual physical evidence that you've been thinking according to a particular program for a long time. And so if you no longer use that circuit because it's no longer activated, or you use it less and less and less, it will go extinct in the brain. The one that you're using more and more and more will become more and more active and more deeply rooted until it's part of your ego and your persona.
Okay, and so just a question that I received earlier was, and you may have tapped into this earlier too, because I know I missed out on a lot. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the live. But someone asked, how do you set boundaries? But then, so what are some suggestions on setting boundaries? And then I'll let the ladies ask any questions too.
Yeah, I would really love that strictly from a boundary perspective. But here's what I know again. If you're asking me how to change a behavior, to go from boundary less or less boundaries to more boundaries, that's a behavior. So we already know that changing it on the level of behavior is only going to work as long as your will is intact. If you're tired, let's give an example. Let's say you have a lover, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, a wife, or ex-husband, whatever, that you're trying to move yourself away from. So you're going to try to place boundaries in place. You're going to do it from a hurt place. It's not an expanded place. That's the first thing. It's a contracted place. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop talking to them. I'm going to stop texting them. I'm not going to talk about this. I'm not going to talk about, we get strong with it too. But guess what? That stronghold is even stronger than your will. All right. Because if it wasn't, you would have been done it and got done with it. But you keep applying that same program over and over again. It's from a contracted place. Your answers can never come from a contracted place. The answers are in your spirit, which is spoken to by God. That's it. So anyway, you try to apply the boundaries. And as soon as you're tired, you let the person back in. Or you feel alone and you let them back in. Or you feel like nobody else has cared. Whatever is going on. So it doesn't work. So how do you set boundaries? The answers to all of this is you get at the belief systems. You get at the self that caused them to have that interaction with you in the first place, and you resolve that self. You resolve those energies, those belief systems, and then you practice it. You practice it according to truth. Truth is expanded. A hurt place is contracted, it's rigid, and it's not going to bend to the will of your spirit. Okay, so you set boundaries by dealing with the programs. I wish I could give y'all some easy solution here, but I've been at this so long, right? And I've seen so much that I already know that it's not going to happen like this. And if it would happen like that, it would have been happened, right? So that's the only reason why I won't give you any 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tips. The tip is you get at the belief system. That is the stronghold.
And so does anybody else have any questions? Yeah, of course. Okay, so you hit on a lot. And the childhood story, I mean, that makes sense to me because as a child, I used to draw pictures of a house with a dog, a beautiful day. And I was about 5 years old, and I never forget, every time I go through, I ain't gonna say every time, but a couple of the deliverance sessions that I went through, or even prophetic words, is always spoke to the child, the 5-year-old me, and I never understood that. But it makes sense of what you're saying as far as that belief system that I had of this perfect family. And I had grew up in so much dysfunction to where when I got married, I wanted opposite of what I grew up in. And so, again, the expectation or this story that I painted or the longing for this perfection of a house to where I went into overdrive trying to create this picture or this story that I had in my mind, even watching shows like The Cosby Show, Family Matters, and the desire of wanting this perfect family. But I'm like, and I would get angry and upset, like, God, why is my life so in so much dysfunction? And I realized, and I went through a pattern of dysfunction after dysfunction to where I saw it was a cycle, and not knowing. And I went through the divorce. I even found myself after I got a divorce wanting to revert back to a place that was familiar, that was comfortable. And, when you talk about the belief system, and I realized what God was doing, he was trying to break and interrupt that pattern in my life of normalizing dysfunction. And so here I am now. He's taking me through, like you said, before you was formed, and I'm telling you, you was all in me and Kim conversation because I said the same thing. But in that area, I was speaking about intimacy, and so it was a place of intimacy with God before we were formed. And so what I realized that I was longing for was intimacy, and I realized that I had my soul was damaged. I had, and the soul is the will, the emotions, the appetites and desires. And so I realized that when you have a damaged soul, your appetite are for those things that cause the dysfunction or whatever the void was. So my appetite was for the dysfunction because that's all I knew. That's all I desired. So even with that, because I know that there could be a lot of ladies that experience soul trauma. How can a person overcome that soul damage or that soul trauma, to where they can shift the appetite? Because, like they said, why I keep craving the same type of man, or why I keep craving the same type of relationship, or why I keep going back to the same type of guy. Sometimes we attract, how they said, same spirit, different face. So how can a woman change the appetite of that, when they experience the soul trauma, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And so I named the part of the person that you're talking about, I named it ego, but yes, it's soul, right? And so the trauma is the programming, right? And it's like the programs have babies through experience, right? So you have one stronghold, right? And from that stronghold, there's different things that spring from it. Yeah. And the appetites are part of it. So if you want to get at the appetite, which is a beautiful place to look, you must look at those belief systems that hold it in place, because deliverance ministry is really effective, but it's only long-term if that program is no longer active, that stronghold. As long as the stronghold is still there, and you could be aware of it or unaware, it could be in your subconscious or your consciousness, it's still going to pull the same or opposite energy toward you. And you're going to be thinking, dang, I got deliverance for this. I went in and I know something happened. And then here it is again, I still want this, because we're trying to suppress parts of ourselves that we actually need, right? Because we call it evil and we call it the enemy, when some of this stuff is really a part of yourself that needs to be resolved and integrated into this life. Then it's no longer an enemy. Then it's a richer, fuller self that you have. All right. Let me give you an example. I used to grow up saying that I couldn't draw, right? And I just had significant anxiety anytime I had to draw anything. I can't draw, I'm not an artist or whatever. Where I got that from, I don't know, but I got it from somewhere and I believed it. And one day I was in utter distress and I got the direction to get a pen and a paper and draw the street light. And my ego was like, for what? I can't draw. But I said, all right. Sat up there and drew the whole street light with the shading and everything. Out of my shadow, the content of my shadow, came an artist in that moment. I teach children how to draw. I draw for fun. I'll hold paint and sip situations. But if you would have asked me, can I draw? It was in my subconscious. I didn't know I could draw, so I said I can't draw. There are millions of situations like that inside of you, both good and bad. I had a client who didn't understand why she didn't like going into her grandfather's basement, whoever's basement it was. So we were in sessions and she was just like, I don't know, I just ain't like the basement. I just didn't like it, whatever. So then her soul gave her this memory that she did not remember. Her uncle said, remember when you were 5, we used to scare you in the basement and you used to get so out of sorts and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, oh my God, that did happen. I had blocked it out of my mind in your subconscious, right? There's stuff you don't know in your subconscious, and it takes a person with skill to pull it out. The Bible says the counsel of a man's heart is like a deep well, but a man with understanding can pull it out. We're trying to do this on our own. We're trying to do it on our own. We're trying to do it on our own. But I keep saying, it's not what you know. It's what you don't know, you know. I didn't know I could draw. I grew up saying I didn't have rhythm. I'm a whole dance teacher and I teach drumming class, okay? I draw. I said I could. There are millions of things like that, but you need somebody with skill to pull it out. And then when you become aware of it, then you can integrate it. These are the ways I want to use it, right? That goes for positive and negative things. So if you want to get at the craving, it all boils down to the belief system. There's no way to get around it.
Thank you for that.
One thing I want to say, I have about 5 minutes to go before I start a class. Yeah. And I wish I could stay here forever because I really would.
Yeah, so and I was going to say, like, we can go ahead and wrap things up. I think that Asha may have had a question, but I don't see her now. Okay. But we can, thanks, Larry.
Yes, real quick before you go, I did have a question. It's based on traumatic experiences from childhood and as well as my past relationship that I have a child with. I tend to have episodes. I don't know if I'm saying the right thing, but when you mentioned the programs, I found myself having episodes. So what I mean by episodes is it's like a fear factor almost, to the point where my subconscious and my conscience is fighting against each other, almost to the point where like my subconscious wants it to be not right, but then my conscience is telling me just relax. I don't know how to battle that. I don't know how to deal with that battle, not how to battle, but how to deal with that battle. Do you have any recommendations? I know that sounds kind of bento.
No.
And it probably is, but
it sounds like a lot of people. Believe me, you might think it feels crazy, but a lot of us experience that division within ourselves where part is like this and part is like that. And it makes you unstable because the Bible says that a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. So the way that we get at that is that you tell me the contents of what's going on. We examine the situation and I listen to your words. I hear the word cycles that hold up belief systems because belief systems are held in place and strengthened through word cycles. So I know what the word cycles of the belief system sound like, partly because it's a gift, partly because it's what I do all the time, right? So you would speak the situation to me and I would tell you what is causing the divide and you decide whether or not you're going to do something about it. I wish I could tell you it's something that you could do on your own, but you can do it on your own after you get the process right? I give you the process. I tell you how to do it. I'm not just telling you what to do. I like to tell you how to do it. And this is not even me trying to sell coaching. I don't want y'all to hear that. It's just that I know that most people are going about this in a way that will not lead to completion, right? And so what I want to offer before I go is anyone who is watching, who is interested in coaching, I want to offer you a discount, right? You just send me an email and I'll talk to you about what the discount is. And just for being part of the group and having me here, I'd like to offer that to your members if they're interested.
Thank you so much. So we'll get the information from you and we will share it. So thank you so much for the conversation, Coach Veronica. We really appreciate you coming, for the time that's spent, and for all the gems that you dropped, all the knowledge that you dropped to us for free. So Coach Veronica has a lot of content on her personal page, on her Facebook page, a lot of videos. You also have a YouTube channel. Tell people where they can follow you on YouTube.
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel. It's Coach Veronica Marie. I just start repopulating it. So there's some stuff to watch on there though. I also go live on TikTok nightly, Monday through Friday at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're talking about this kind of stuff all the time.
Okay. Well, thank you again. And thank you so much, ladies, for joining the conversation. Don't forget to follow us at Don't Count Yourself Out. Have a good evening, everybody. And thank you for popping back on with us again.
Letitia, it's so good to see you, honey bun. Let's connect. Let's not be strangers. Okay.
Got you.
All right, y'all.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, y'all.